what I'm getting ready to do is long overdue. I haven't ridden this bike other than just around the neighborhood or backed out in the driveway to get it running in almost a year. So like a year ago, I went on a ride with a bunch of guys, did my pre-check inspection in the morning, got like 300 miles into the trip, and guy riding behind me was like, "Hey man, I think I see wires on your back tire." Sure enough, there was a spot about the size of a quarter. And it's just kind of been sitting since then. I had the boat came up, had to do some work to my RAV, got another vehicle, combination of things, and I just kept putting it off, and finally said enough is enough. Let's get this thing rolling. So there's a look at all the parts. This is the size front tube I need, 190/19. I did not realize it's special motocross enduro. I just seen heavy duty. The tubes on the bike are good. There's no telling how old they are though. So when I do the tires, I'm gonna do tubes. This should be fine. Rear tube, 170/80/15, and they actually sent me 2 tire spoons and rim protectors. I had a set of these when I had my KLR. I let them go with the KLR, so it was time to order a new pair. And then I got these. I'm not sure how I feel about them yet. I'll show you why in a moment why I got these. Giving me more of a Harley vibe than what I really wanted for my club style bike. This is the new front club style fairing and the windshield that came with it. And this is the other piece that I should have paid attention to when I ordered. This is supposed to be tinted, but it is absolutely pitch black. You're not seeing anything through that. I'll show you a side-by-side comparison with the original in a moment, but I'm gonna run it. Has no functionality. I made a stupid mistake a while back when I was bringing the bike out of the garage to warm it up. As you can see, my drive here is kind of on a downhill. It's relatively flat right here coming out of the garage, and then it drops off pretty quick. And at one point, I had the bike actually backed in over there. You can see where the tire was rubbing against the wall. And so I just pulled it out nose first this way, put it on its side stand, crunk it up, and was letting it run. Went inside, came back out, and of course, it was on its side. It did quite a bit of damage, so it bent the shit out of my clutch lever. I straightened it back out with some heat and a wrench, but as you can tell, that's not right. And then the reason why I've got this new fairing, is because as you can see here, it scratched it pretty bad, which I don't really care about. The problem is inside of here, the tabs broke. And since the tabs broke, when I drive down the road, this thing wobbles like this. And I tried to glue it with some epoxy, and it worked a little bit, but as you can see, the epoxy did not hold. The fairing's not too expensive, and it's fairly easy to put on. And since I already have the fairing on there and all the mounting hardware, I'm not gonna have to fool with any of the mounting hardware and figure out the depths and all that again like I had to do the first time. I should be able to just put that fairing together, and it should be almost a direct mount. So that's gonna be kind of nice. So here's a little comparison side by side of the windscreens. Same size, same shape. This one's pitch black, this one's tinted. If you look down from behind the bars, there are some Allen heads there. Those Allen heads hold the entire fairing on. You can see where it's broke. So I'm going to get a number 5 Allen socket, and an extension so I can get in there and get this front fairing loose. The bottom bolt be easier done without the socket apparently. I don't remember. They're not very tight because when I took this off and tried to epoxy it, I was kind of being hesitant of tightening it down too tight to pull the epoxy back apart. So my job was made a little easier because both of these front tabs are broken. The bottom one on this side was broken. This top one was the only one that wasn't broken. These have been epoxied. They didn't hold, so. But as you can tell, there's not really a whole lot to this fairing. So this front area is kind of where I did a pretty hack job on putting things together. The mounts for the fairing are legit. They're not going anywhere, but as you can see, I had to do some custom work to this headlight bezel, and it's not great. So I'm gonna see if I can clean that up some. Here is some of the brackets that came with the new fairing. This bracket here is this bracket, and it's held on with ring clamp. And they send you some heat shrink to put around these so you don't scratch your bars up. But essentially, you have one that mounts on the top, one that mounts on the bottom. And then you have this piece, which, as you can tell, mounts like this. And then on the end of this piece mounts this, like this. So it ends up looking like something similar to this. I know that's not a very good demonstration, but this particular kit did not come with an extension for the headlight bracket. So the headlight sits recessed into the fairing, which isn't the end of the world, but what ends up happening is because it's so deep, I mean, you're talking probably 6 inches right here, and your headlight's sitting like this. There's a ring in there where it's rubbed. This is really blocking a lot of light. This is blocking a lot of light. I made it work by adding auxiliary lights on the front of my bike, which currently one of them do not work. The left one is not working, so I've got to check some wiring while I'm also in there. But yeah, it's real basic. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna leave this part attached. I'm gonna do some work to this headlight and try to get it sturdied up a little more maybe. And I'm just gonna attach the new fairing straight to this since I've already got all my dimensions and everything set up. So here's a good demonstration for you. This is the stock halogen headlight, chrome housing. And you can see that the way it fits in here is just really big. Now you can move it all the way back to how it sits on the bike. It sits like this. So it's actually in there like that. But you can see all this ends up shadowing the light, which isn't terrible, but I'm gonna see if maybe I can't figure out a way to get one of these housings mounted up at the front of the fairing like this somehow. So what I opted to do was go with the stock headlight housing with the LED light in the stock headlight housing. I didn't really find a good way to attach the light to the fairing, so we're gonna go kind of back the same route we originally were at. Gonna put the light in like this and then see if we can manage to somehow work around all of this. I'm not 100% sure how it's gonna work yet, but that's pretty close there. So I think I can make that work. Sure. There we go. This may end up turning out better than I anticipated. And this light goes through the headlight bezel, 10 millimeter on both sides. Okay. 2 more of these mounting bolts to start. Not sure if things are going to be lined up or not. Nor does that. It might be lined up now, maybe. There we go. Got a little bit of leeway here. Okay. That seemed like that took forever. And that's what it looks like in there now. The headlight, of course, is a little turned, which doesn't bother me really. I thought about actually doing it vertical, but so here you have a look from the inside. Bolts there, bolt on the bottom. Same on that side, bolt there, bolt on the bottom. Everything's loose still. There's the headlight. Let's see if I can come in from the bottom right there. So you got a 10 on this side, and then you got a 10 here. And as you can see, I haven't even tightened everything up, and this headlight is way better than what it was with the other headlight bucket. So I think I'm gonna like this a lot better already. That's way more rigid than what I had before. This thing won't be vibrating and stuff all over either, so that's nice. This doesn't move. Just plugged in the headlight. It is plug and play, so just plugs into the stock harness. Now it did come with this red hot wire here that I could wire into the ignition, and that would make the little ones on the bottom and the one on the top come on, but I don't really care about those necessarily. But since we got the headlight plugged in, let's turn it on and make sure the light works. So looks like low beam, high beam, and it seems to be putting out a little more light than what it was before. It's kind of more centered and more sturdy inside of the headlight, inside of that fairing, so that's nice. Let's test these lower lights. Yeah, so that one's still out. I've got power to one, that means I've got to get ground, so there just must be a loose connection. So while I've got it apart, I'll go ahead and dig into that too. But I think for this evening, that is going to be it. Tomorrow, I'll go ahead and get these levers changed out before I put the windscreen on, and I'll go ahead and pull this side panel here. I know there's some connections in there for these front mounted lights. I'll check the connections in there, and then once I get the levers and the lights working, I'll add the windscreen, and then I'll pull this front tire off. I'll go ahead and pull the rear tire off, and go ahead and get them deflated. And I've got a set of white walls coming that should be here by the end of this week or Monday of next week. So I can go ahead and have this whole thing ready. I do have to pick up a tag. Tag expired in July of 2024. And like I said, I wasn't riding it, so I've just let it sit. So I'll grab a tag at the end of this week, and hopefully at the beginning of next week, first thing, I can get those white walls on, and I can start riding it again, back and forth to work and on trips and camping and all those other things. Anyways, stay tuned for tomorrow when we do the rest of the work. To be continued.